Welcome back to My Time to Fly. We're back in the Mooney today, starting to prepare for the upcoming trip to Oshkosh. This will be my first trip to Oshkosh, so I want to make sure we are overly prepared for the challenges that come on that trip. The first challenge that hits me is this big body of water called Lake Michigan. Sure, I could fly around the bottom of it and add time to the trip, but I really intend to fly over it. Now, although we're not going to fly over it today, we're going to perform the first leg of the trip, which is the climb to 12,500 feet from Sparta to Ludington, which is one of the narrowest points to cross the lake. So today, we're going to really pay attention to how long it takes to climb, make sure we can get to altitude by the time we hit Ludington, and get some practice in managing maybe the 2 or 3 most important things as you climb: airspeed, engine temperatures, and air-fuel mixture. And we're just going to see how long it takes to get up to 12.5. I'm fully loaded with fuel and just me on board today, so kind of a medium load, and it's pretty nice out. It's going to be in the mid-50s right now on the ground, so it's not super hot. So this might be a best case scenario, but I think it's worth a shot. So we'll get this thing started up, get out to the end of the runway, and we'll catch you on takeoff. Thanks again for being here on My Time to Fly.
We're going to climb out at about 105 until we get to 500 feet. Then we'll switch to our cruise climb and climb at 120 to begin with as we make our way up. So there's 500 feet. That's when we pull our flaps and our fuel pump. And we'll let her accelerate to 120. Sparta traffic, Mooney 6708 uniforms, departing the pattern to the north, Sparta.
Sparta traffic 700, Yankee departing 25, Sparta.
Okay, we're going to get our course in. Course is 336. And we're on it right there. A little hazy out, nothing too bad. All right, now we're gonna leave it wide open throttle in the climb. We're gonna climb at 2,500 RPM.
Marshall traffic, Cessna 40 Golf, left downwind 410. Marshall.
Warrior 8452 Romeo.
We're gonna try and stay on course here.
Traffic, Saratoga 8442, established on the RNAV runway 23, practice approach.
So we're getting about 800 feet a minute right now.
Sparta traffic, Cessna 38 Juliet, turning base runway 25, Sparta.
Real interested to see what happens as we get higher. Oil pressure's good, oil temperature's good, cylinder head temps are good, we're making power, making electrical power I should say. Suction's good, everything's checking out. Get back on course here.
Sparta traffic, Cessna 38 Juliet, turning final runway 25, Sparta. Sparta traffic 790 Yankee, turning downwind 25, Sparta.
Okay, so we're gonna lean the whole way up.
Saginaw Brown traffic, Warrior 8452 Romeo, turning base, runway 23, Saginaw Brown. Marshall traffic, 40 Golf, left base 10, Marshall. Flat.
And this is really new to me. This is a new, I mean, a lot of you guys already know it, I'm sure.
Traffic, Warrior 8452
But
Romeo, turning final, runway 23, Saginaw Brown traffic.
as I was doing research for this video, and really just trying to understand the right way to fly, I didn't realize that your indicated airspeed so VY, or best rate of climb, will change as you get higher. So, of course, you know, the higher you go, the lower airspeed you indicate. I think we all know that, right? There's less air up there to get shoved into that pitot tube. And so the higher you go, the lower airspeed you indicate. But that also starts to affect your VY. So I'm doing 120 right now. I'm at 4,000 feet, so we're already making good progress. The rule of thumb is that every 1,000 feet you go up, you go down 1 mile an hour for VY. Okay, so you can see right now I'm indicating just a tick under 120. We're at 4,500 feet. When we get to 5,000 feet, you know, 115 is probably VY. And then as you approach 10,000 feet,
Marshall area traffic, this is Mooney 90647, Mike.
As you approach 10,000 feet, you're probably about 110 for VY. So we're gonna let her keep climbing like this. It's nice and smooth out. We're getting back on course finally, just making a small correction. We're at 5,000 feet, just a tick under 120. Keeping our mixture lean so that she'll keep performing. And we're 8 minutes on the climb so far. 8 minutes since takeoff. So when I get to 6,000 feet, I'll try and be at 115 miles per hour, and then we'll just keep slightly adjusting it. It's a beautiful day here in Michigan, so it's really busy. Lots of traffic, which is fantastic. That's what we need in the community. If you're new to the community, or you know you're considering getting into flying but don't know how, there's tons of resources out there. I would recommend starting on Facebook groups and talking to people, the student pilot Facebook group, or whatever airplanes you're really interested in. Like, of course, I'm into Moonies, so for me, it's there's a couple good Mooney Facebook groups. Shout out to all you guys who have followed me on this journey. And then, of course, your local airports. I mentioned Sparta, where I fly out of. There's a couple flight schools there. You can look them up, SpartaFBO.com or TwinComancheFlyers.com. These guys are great. You know, you want to get started, just go out there and talk to them and get started. There's nothing that should stop you. You can go for one flight a month. If you know, it might take you a little longer in total, but one flight a month is enough to get rolling and start to feel comfortable in the airplane.
Traffic, Saratoga 8440 Zulu, going mass runway 23.
All right, so we're going to go through a bit of a leaning procedure. As you can see, I don't have the newest gauges over here, or the newest instruments. I'd love to put a JPI in this thing, but that's just not in the cards right now. So we're going to lean to peak and then go 100 degrees this side of peak, or rich of peak. These are in 25-degree increments. And then we're going to make that our standard, and we're just going to keep there as we climb. You can see as we climb, too, our fuel usage start to come down as we lean more. We're 11 gallons an hour in the climb. As our manifold pressure drops, we're going to manifold pressure drops as we're climbing, and we'll start using less fuel as we lean in the climb. So what I'm doing is just pulling it back until I see this thing peak. I can feel the engine not love it. You can feel it start to miss right there. So then we'll go 100 degrees rich. So from my view, it is going to be this first big line. And that's going to be our best power mixture. Right about there. We're already about 7,000 feet, still climbing at 120 and making 500 feet a minute. So I'm not really inclined to start slowing the climb down. I am on course, so I guess I can actually get back to on course. We're 44 miles away, 44 nautical miles away from Ludington, which is the crossing point. We're already at 7,000 feet. And we're going to climb at 115 now. I guess. I see that's where we are. The plane's real stable and likes it, so I might as well. All our engine instruments are looking good. We're 12 minutes into the climb. I mentioned the importance of the altitude to me. It's really important because, you know, the lake is wide. I think it's, you know, at its narrowest point, it's about 60 miles wide. And all planes glide differently. The Mooney is a very efficient glider, which is nice, somewhere in the area of the 12 to 1 range. So for every mile of altitude I have 12 miles of glide in a no-wind situation. So if I can climb to 12.5, my quick math says that's just about just over 2 miles. That means I'll have 25 miles to glide. Well, if I'm in the middle of the lake and I have 30 miles on either side of me, there's only about, whatever it is, a 12-mile window where I'm not going to make it back. And 12 miles at, you know, 150, 160 miles an hour, and it can limit your exposure. So that's what I'm hoping to do: limit the exposure, the risk, as I'm flying over the lake.
Teardrop for a midfield downwind 45 entry, left pattern 18 Romeo.
The beautiful part of being able to fly over the lake in Michigan is that it gets you places that might take 10 hours by car or more. It could get you there in an hour. It's really a huge shortcut. So it's a nice thing to do if you have confidence. Of course, having a twin would be the way to do it, but that's not in my immediate future. So we're at 8.5 now, continuing the climb. We're indicating about 113, 114 miles an hour, and we're still getting 500 feet a minute. That's good. 21.6 inches, 2,500 RPMs. Continuing to lean on the climb.
Romeo turning crosswind, runway 23, tagging up on traffic.
I do subscribe to the wide open throttle concept. No reason to pull that throttle back. We're already well below our manifold pressure, cruise manifold pressure settings. If I was down low, I'd cruise at 24, 24, something like that. So, you know, we get up 12.5, I don't know, we'll be sub 20 for sure, probably in the 16, 17 inches range, and wide open throttle. I did have a question really early on in the flying videos about my cowl flap speed. They are accepted. The placard down here says that I can have them open up to 150 miles an hour. So I'm climbing with my cowl flaps open. You know, we're a slow speed kind of deal right now. Although it is kind of chilly out here. It is only 27 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe -3 Celsius. If that conversion's wrong, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at my gauge. Perfectly smooth air, just absolutely gorgeous. It's a tad bit hazy out, like I mentioned earlier. Otherwise, I could probably see all the way across the lake. Can't quite see that far right now.
Tagging up ground traffic, Warrior 8452 Romeo, turning base, runway 23, tagging up ground traffic.
All right, well, I had GoPro rolling on my gauges. Hopefully I saved a little bit of that footage. I looked down and it had a problem of some sort. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but we'll pick this back up and then we'll try getting the GoPro back on. We're at 11,000 feet, indicating about 113 miles an hour. I think 110 right now is about VY. We're getting 300 foot a minute. We're at 9 gallons an hour. Manifold pressure is 19.7 inches up this high. We're right on course, just about 19 minutes into the climb. So pattern altitude, or field altitude, where we took off from, 775. So it is about 11,000 foot climb, what we're looking for. And we got 1,500 to go, 1,300 to go. There's 1,000 feet to go, 11.5. No traffic, beautiful day. Although it's super busy out, there's nobody up this way, this high. She's really starting to slow down in the climb. I can't imagine taking off from runways this high. I know Man in a Mooney, who I like to watch, flies Mooney C, a C model Mooney, out in the mountains. and I give him a ton of credit for that, man. That is, that has to be a challenge. I'd love to take on that challenge sometime, maybe go out and fly with him. That would be fun. But if you're really interested in mountain flying, check him out. You know, there's a lot of flatland guys out here like me, and you can really learn a lot from the challenges that come with mountain flying. So about halfway to Ludington, and we're 500 feet to go. That gives me a ton of confidence. Of course, you put a few more pounds in here, it might be a little bit more of a challenge. But it gives me a ton of confidence to be able to make the point, and I'll show you the point here in a minute. I can see it in front of me. That's kind of the crossover point to get over to the other side. There's a little jut out into the lake, and that constitutes the smallest or the shortest way across the lake. So what we'll do is, you know, we'll just take the good climb for what it's worth. We'll level off and see what kind of cruise performance we get at 12.5. We are right at about a layer, cloud layer. It's way off. No big deal. But we'll see what kind of cruise performance we get, and we'll turn around and take it back home. Hopefully y'all could see that. I see the prop spinning in my video, but we'll see what it turns out like. Out there past that field of windmills, there's a point. That's the point that we cross over to take our trip over the lake. So there's 12.5. We're gonna leave it wide open throttle, pull our prop back to 24 inches, turn the cabin vent off a little bit because man, it's a little chilly up here. We're at about 15 degrees, about -4 or 5. 18.7 inches of manifold pressure, 2,400 RPM. We're 100 degrees rich of peak. And we're way off course because I was paying attention to other things. I imagine how that happens. So we'll let the Mooney speed up. It does tend to go through a little bit of a speed up and want to climb and speed up and want to climb cycle. We'll just get our nose over here. Get back down to 12.5. Get the cowl flaps in. I have to say, I have even a little bit of butterflies right now. Like I'm actually going to make the trip over, which I'm not. And I can actually see the other side. I don't expect to pick it up on video, but I can see the other side. It gives you just a little bit of a butterfly, that's for sure. You start to hear every little engine noise that exists, whether it's real or not. All right, so let's set this. We're at 12.5. And it's -5C and 2030, -12.5, -5C. So we are indicating about 140 miles an hour, 12.5, 7.6, 7.8, call it 8 gallons an hour, whatever. 12.5. Indicating 140 miles an hour, true airspeed 170 miles an hour, maybe 165 to 170 miles an hour on 8 gallons of gas, 7.5 or 8 gallons of gas. You tell me that's not efficient. This thing is it's a traveling machine, especially if you can get up this high. So it's absolutely glorious. It's been a beautiful trip to 12.5. This gives me a lot of confidence in making the trip over the lake, although there are some nerves there. So thanks again for being here on My Time to Fly. I encourage you to go find your time.